Did you know that being a YouTuber is now the most common answer given by kids when asked what they want to do with their lives? It's pretty weird to think about, right? Like to think that what I'm doing right now is seen in the same way that I grew up seeing musicians and actors is really bizarre, because I don't think this is anywhere near as cool. I don't think I'm anywhere near as cool. It's honestly really not that cool. I'm just sitting here alone in a room talking to a camera. And actually, I think it's a little bit cringy, but I guess it's just different perspectives from different generations. Needless to say, being a YouTuber was never my life plan, but I got really into watching YouTube videos back around 2017 when I discovered Matt D'Avella's channel via his minimalism documentary. From Matt's channel, I quickly found myself falling down the minimalism rabbit hole, which, to be fair, was a pretty deep rabbit hole to be in at that time, considering how popular minimalism was. And I started finding other creators who were also making great videos about minimalism, as well as personal finance, and more specifically, the intersection of it all. I remember thinking that making videos like that looked fun, and I thought it was something that I wanted to try to do one day. But then I shelved that idea for 3 or 4 years, never really thinking about it again, until 2020 happened. By this point, I was in my late 20s and living alone, and when 2020 did roll around, like many people, I found myself with more free time on my hands than I had ever had before. So what did I do with all that free time? Well, for another 12 months, not a damn thing. But by the time that 2021 rolled around, I figured now was as good a time as ever to try to dip my toes in the water and see what would happen. So I dusted off my old Nikon DSLR camera that I had never really learned to use, and set it up with my cheap $20 Walmart tripod, which I'm still using right this moment, by the way, and I hit record. And oh my god, was that painful. I couldn't really figure out how to get my camera to focus. I didn't know how to light the room that I was in. The audio was atrocious and echoey, and for some reason, once I hit record, I just lost my entire ability to speak English.
I know words, I have the best words.
But anyways, I struggled through and recorded a few videos, and then spent 20 to 30 hours editing each of them because, again, I had no idea what I was doing, and if I was lucky, I could extract maybe 10 minutes of usable footage out of 90 minutes of me just rambling incoherently about nothing. A sane person would have just been like, screw this, forget it. But clearly I'm not sane. My frustration at how bad I was at this didn't make me want to give up. In fact, it made me just want to prove to myself that I wasn't that bad. Because how could I be that bad? But I told myself that I had to just keep trying. That if I could make one video a week and just get a tiny bit better with each video, in a year or two, I might actually be maybe sort of halfway decent. Maybe. In my wildest dreams, maybe one day I'd get 1,000 subscribers and make like $1 a day off of this channel, despite putting in 30 hours a week of work. And if I was lucky, I would be able to take that $30 and treat myself to one all-you-can-eat sushi dinner every month, all thanks to my YouTube channel. I'm not even being facetious, that was literally my goal. The funniest part is that by the time that I achieved that goal, all-you-can-eat sushi had gone up from $30 to $40. Inflation, am I right? I mean, if I really wanted to daydream, maybe one day I could quit my job and I could just stay home with Levi all day and earn my income by making these goofy videos in my living room, but that was a ridiculous thing to strive for, at least at that point. It honestly seemed as far-fetched as winning the lottery. But I did exactly what I said I was gonna do. I made one video a week, every week, and uploaded them consistently, even while knowing that nobody was gonna watch them. And retrospectively, that was probably for the best, because they were awful. And well, over time, I did start to see some growth. My videos went from getting like 3 views to getting 10 views, to getting 35 views, to oh my god, my video got 100 views. Just as I had hoped, each of my videos got a little tiny bit better. At least I think they did. Talking to the camera got a little bit easier, though admittedly it's still pretty hard. I still get nervous sometimes, and then I start talking too fast, and I'm doing my best. And then eventually, about 2 years in, I finally had a video blow up, which gave my channel a very much needed push, and I have basically been riding that wave ever since. Just 18 months ago, I had about 900 subscribers, but today I'm sitting over 62,000, which is absolutely crazy. And thank you guys, by the way. And if you haven't subscribed, maybe do it right there, just do it. Not only have I surpassed my humble sushi goals, but YouTube has actually changed my life in a lot of ways. It's changed my entire worldview. So let's talk about it. For starters, my understanding of self-improvement has evolved wildly. Like, despite feeling like the most unlikely person in the world to get any sort of notoriety for anything ever, I've been able to build this thing up to this level just by being my normal self, for better or for worse. It's really helped me to understand what is possible for anyone to achieve if they just stick with their goals. Because, like, if I can do this, literally anyone can do this. And so it's given me more confidence in my abilities, but also in the abilities of others. It's made me truly believe that all my friends can achieve amazing things too, and it's caused me to become a bigger cheerleader than ever for everyone else. Something else that I've learned is the importance of asking for help. I am admittedly a pretty stubborn and independent person. I'm an only child, okay? It's kind of just what I'm used to. It's very normal for me to just do things myself, and I'm also very protective of my things. Some people call this controlling, I call it protective. Same. But that means that my go-to way to do anything has always just been to struggle and push and work way too hard to try to figure out how to do things on my own.
Yeah, that's one fine-looking barbecue pit. Why doesn't mine look like that? Ah!
Logic says that there are other people in the world who know more about some things than you do, and that the best way to learn things is to ask those people for help. But logic and stubbornness don't often go hand in hand. As I mentioned before, when I first started making videos, it would take me 10, 20, even 30 hours just to edit one, because I had no idea what I was doing, but more specifically, I had so much junk footage to sort through just to find the parts that were worth keeping. I'd spend like 5, 6, 7 hours just cutting down the initial footage, just removing all of the mistakes and screw-ups before I could even start on the actual editing process. The things like adding text overlays, or sound effects, or B-roll, or memes, or whatever else. As you can imagine, this was a very frustrating process. At some point last year, I was having a conversation with another creator, and I mentioned this, and they completely changed my perspective. Not only did they confirm that it's apparently actually totally normal to shoot like an hour of video just for 10 to 20 minutes of final end product, but also that it's 2023, or I mean, it was 2023 at the time, and it's 2023, why on earth are you manually cutting down your footage on your own? Like, there are tools that can do that automatically for you. I was mind blown by this. I had never considered that such a thing existed, but I was also mind blown that I had never considered that such a thing existed. That's when I found out about an AI tool called Gling, which I have used to edit every single one of my videos ever since. And so when Gling reached out and they said, hey, we noticed you've been using our product, could we sponsor one of your videos? I was like, absolutely yes. Gling AI is made specifically for YouTubers to help save time and boost the quality of your content. All you have to do is drop in your raw video files, and in just a few minutes, Gling transcribes your footage and automatically cuts out all the mistakes and silences for you, leaving you with just the parts you want. What used to be hours of painstaking work is now done just like that. I honestly want to cry when I think about how much time I wasted doing this manually at the beginning. You can then skim through the edit and make any changes you'd like before exporting your new file to whatever editing software you want, or even straight to a published video if you're happy with it as is. Gling has legitimately played a huge role in me being able to upload consistently and grow on YouTube. Click the link below to try out Gling for free, and thank you to Gling for sponsoring this video, and honestly just for existing. The next way that YouTube has changed my life is the juicy topic that everybody's nosy about, and that is with finances, specifically with my income. And yes, we're gonna talk actual numbers here. Until I was 26, I never made more than $30,000 in a year. And I worked many different kinds of jobs. I worked retail, I did office work, various self-employment ventures, I did side hustles, but even still, I was never really able to earn a lot more than a full-time minimum wage income at best. Even worse than that was the fact that all of these jobs, despite the crappy pay, had me tied to a specific location and a specific schedule that I had very little control over, and pretty much every dollar I made was tied to the number of hours I worked. By the time that I was 26, my business started to pick up, and thankfully my income did start to increase until I was earning roughly around the average income for the area that I live in, which was a huge improvement, but still mediocre overall. What that meant tangibly was that I could pay all of my regular bills without too much concern as long as no shit hit the fan unexpectedly, and on a good month, I could save maybe around $1,000. On a bad month, I would save nothing, but that $1,000 in savings was completely hinging on me not spending virtually any money discretionarily. Is discretionarily a word? If I decided to go out for dinner a couple times in a month, maybe buy a concert ticket and a new pair of shoes, poof, there goes all of my savings for that month. If I had to take care of a large vet bill for Levi, no savings that month, maybe even dipping into last month's reserves. Basically, I could pay for my bare minimum essentials and then either choose to save money or have a bit of a life, but I couldn't really afford to do both. And truly, I was mostly okay with that. Like, I'm a pretty simple person, I'm content living a simple life. The bigger issue for me was that I was still stuck to a location that I had little control of, a schedule that I had little control of, and that the ability for me to make money was again directly tied to the number of hours I was willing and able to work. Like, there are only so many hours that you can physically work in a week, and then your income is more or less capped. And so YouTube eventually growing into another source of income for me has been nothing short of life-changing. For one, I mean, I basically have 2 jobs now, and yes, that means working a lot, but that also means getting 2 paychecks. So while I'm still far from rolling in dough, I definitely have a lot more financial freedom than I ever have before. But the incredible thing about YouTube is that even though it's a lot of work, like way more work than you would imagine, way more work than you'd imagine. We're talking hours and hours of brainstorming ideas, planning and researching for videos, scripting, filming, editing, corresponding with brands, making thumbnails, uploading, promoting, responding to comments. We'll talk more about those in a second. All of this work that goes into a 15-minute video. Wait, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, even though YouTube is a lot of work, the amount of money that you can potentially make on this platform is not directly tied to the number of hours you're inputting. With the exception of a few variables, the amount of time that it takes to run a really small channel is pretty much the same as it takes to run a really large channel, because the creative process doesn't necessarily change. But as your channel grows and as your videos get more views, you get paid more money. And that is a life-changing concept to me because it's unlike anything else I've ever done. It also gives me complete location independence, which is also something I've never had before. Because I'm not full-time here on YouTube, I haven't taken advantage of this opportunity, but even just knowing that it's a possibility has completely changed my view on money and work and life overall. And honestly, with Levi being 12 years old and having some heart issues, I've been so appreciative to be able to be home with him a little bit more and just spend a little bit more time with him. I think honestly, that has been the biggest gift of all. I'm gonna go back to my comfy chair over there, one sec. Finally, this one is admittedly a little bit unexpected, but I think YouTube has made me a kinder person. As I said before, I've definitely become a more supportive friend, a more genuine friend. Having a bit more of a financial buffer also allows me to be more generous, not only just with my money, but also with my time. But more than that, how do I say this? I have always had a bit of a habit. I've always been a bit of a troll, not just on the internet, but in real life. People who know me in real life know to take me with a grain of salt because my intent is never malicious. Like, I've never actually set out to cause anybody any sort of hurt or pain, but I can be a bit of a shit disturber, and I definitely have a deranged sense of humor, we'll say. If you know me and you get it, then you get it. If you don't, then I don't know. Basically, I just like to push buttons. I like to get a rise out of people just for shits and gigs. So prior to starting on YouTube, I would sometimes make comments to people, especially online, that were maybe not the kindest. I'm just being honest here. I'm not like a bully or anything. I never targeted anybody specifically. Couldn't even really give you a specific example because it isn't like I did or said anything that was particularly outrageous or inflammatory. But sometimes I would be overly critical of other people, or I would say things without really stopping to consider how it would be received on the other end. I think that if we're being honest, we've all done that at certain points. On the internet in particular, it can be really easy to say things from behind a screen that you would never have the nerve to say to somebody face to face. And it can also be really easy to forget that there's like a real person on the other end of that who's reading whatever you're writing. It's actually really interesting to see, like when my channel was really small and I would get a comment from somebody, it was always directed at me. So for example, like, your dog is really cute, or your house is really nice, or you talk too fast, or whatever it may be. But then as your channel grows, I still get some comments like that, but I also get some that are addressed to a third person, as though I'm not actually going to read or see those comments. Things like, her house is too big for her, or her dog is really cute, or she talks too fast. Like, talking about me, but not to me. It reads as though they don't expect I'm going to see it, and I think that that really says a lot about our perception of the things that we say on the internet in general. When you leave a comment somewhere, positive or negative, either way, it can just feel like you're just posting a comment into the void that probably nobody's going to see, but that's not actually true. My point is that even with a larger following, I have learned that rude comments can actually be hurtful. Who'da thunk it? I'd like to say that I'm totally immune to them, And I've definitely gotten better at it, but at the end of the day, I'm still human, and personal attacks can still make you feel worthless no matter who you are. And I understand fully well that the internet is a public forum, and so when you put yourself out there in whatever way, you are in a way having to accept the fact that you are opening yourself up to whatever it is that people want to say. And I do accept that to a certain extent. But after learning firsthand that even with a larger following, comments left for somebody are direct and they're viewable, I've become a lot more aware and mindful of the fact that a flippant comment that I might make off the cuff and completely forget about within minutes could potentially ruin somebody else's day or make them feel lesser about themselves. And I don't have the right to do that to anybody. I mean, I've never had the intention to do that to anybody, but knowing that that's what can happen has made me a lot more conscientious. And so I'm genuinely glad to have learned this and experienced this, because I think it has made me less asshole, and honestly, we could all benefit from being a little bit less in life. Overall, what I'm trying to say is that YouTube has changed my life in a lot of ways, most of which have been for the better. YouTube has shown me what's really possible if you set a series of small attainable goals and stick to them and work hard and open yourself up to new opportunities. So if you've been mulling it over for a while, if you've low-key kind of always wanted to do YouTube, I would encourage you fully to go for it. No matter who you are, no matter what it is you're passionate about, whatever kind of you want to make, I can pretty much guarantee you that there's an audience out there who would love your videos if you can just stick with it long enough to let them find you. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys in this one. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. Let me know if YouTube is something you've attempted in the past or something you've always wanted to try, or maybe it's not YouTube. Maybe you have another big lofty goal that you've kind of always wanted to go after and maybe just not had the confidence or the commitment to do it. Whatever it is, I'd say go for it. If you enjoyed this video at all, please go ahead and hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You can follow me on Instagram at according_to_Nicole. Other than that, thank you guys so much as always for watching. Take care. I'll see you next week. That's that dumb thing that all of us YouTubers do. I don't know why I did that.